How is everybody doing? Happy Tuesday. We have a beautiful special guest today, so I'm so excited to bring my sissy in. Also, it is a major portal today, so I'm so excited to be doing this live with you all. Happy tools, right? This is a revolutionary type energy. So please keep in mind that what is cosmically going on in this alignment. Hello, family. She's about to jump on, so don't go anywhere. Be sure to save this live. Share the live with all your loved ones so that they could get in on this juice. We're about to talk about some angelic vibes, right? And really just kind of break down some of the misconstructions of angels. But yes, really quick, before I bring her on, what I was saying about this revolutionary energy. So cosmically, the alignment is very similar to when the forefathers had created, the laws and the constitutional laws in 1776, if I'm not mistaken. Please do your research. The energies were similar to what it is today, astrologically. And so that is very, very important because we are living in 2022, which makes it a different type of energy, right? It was 222 back then, but it's 2022 today. And so the alignments, for me, the way I look at it is doing like a 180, is going to the other side of the polarity, right? Because two, while it's unity and harmony, is also polarities. It doesn't have to be duality. It doesn't have to be fighting against, but it could be the polar opposite side of the same thing, right? Where it's not necessarily a fight against, but it's just the other side, right? And so when I like talking about angels and stuff, right? For me, it falls in alignment with like different things of sovereignty, right? And knowing the difference between your sovereign energy and like an angelic energy around you and stuff. So we'll get into that. But I just wanted you all to do your own research and really, really, really focus on what it is that you want to change into your life now, and really become that sovereign being with yourself and put down your boundaries as if they're law, right? And there's a difference between lawfulness and legalness. And so that's something, again, also to look into. And when I was talking about the Founding Fathers, because my dear sister that will be joining us, she's in Canada, it's a little bit different for her than for us. I'm speaking in the United States, right? So for the United States. But we know that we are going through a wealth exchange, and this wealth exchange is in different layers and levels. And this is also spiritually, right? Spirit is not separate from anything, right? It is in harmony and union with any and all things. So keeping that in mind, let's bring my lovely, beautiful black fairy, okay, my black fairy goddess sister, black fairy Tings. We will be introducing her, and please be sure above on the top you'll be seeing her name on the list. Please be sure to add her, okay? And if you have any questions, please feel free to use the question box below. Hello!
Hi,
I love you.
hey,
First of all, I have to say, one of the reasons I loved my hair was getting to my ass, okay, to my butt. It was getting long. But I had to like release energy, whatever, go through a change. So I cut it. But when I cut it, I was really missing the wildness. So ever since I've seen you with, your hair, I was like,
well, this is a wig that I made because I chopped off my
I know, it's perfect.
Shaved it down. Okay.
You made it. Listen, this creatress, y'all, I'm telling you, angels working through her.
Trust me.
That's woo! I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You look so beautiful.
Thank you.
I thank you. I don't know if y'all can see her wings, but they morph
I
too,
should.
depending on her
Can I
mood.
even do that? Can I put my wings on here? Can I put
Do
some on
it!
me? I'll do it. You know, how do you do that? Okay, hold on. I
The
got it.
filters.
Hold on. I got it. I just need to. I can't. Why isn't it moving?
Is it gonna go? Oh, mine's went.
See, yours went. See the only.
Let's see. I don't want this one.
The only
Oh,
one
you know what? I'll
is
stay
the
with this
devil
one.
one, but I'll stick with it. I don't care.
That's fine. We fiery. You fiery
over here. I'm an Aries.
She's an Aries.
I'm an Aries,
right?
Anyways. If you guys don't mind, if it's not too scary for you, because I know it's like, okay, girl.
Listen. I love it. I love it. You know what?
Phoenix.
Ooh, let me see if the other one pops up. If it's here, really quick. Y'all be patient with us.
I don't know why, but I mean, I guess I'll just stick with it.
This one, because we're talking about angels. There we go.
Yeah. See, I can't even change mine though. It's weird. I don't know why mine's not working. It's like frozen on it now. So I guess
that's okay. No, this works out.
Be the Phoenix. I'm cool.
I like this. Cool. I like this. So like the light and then the fiery. Let's do it.
I love that. Yes, I do like that.
Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it.
So my soulmates and Aries. Hey, well, you know what? If she ain't just doing something strange for a little bit of change, you got to come right with that soul, baby. So, you know.
Okay, and if that's your soulmate, and your soulmate is an Aries, if your soulmate is an Aries, let me tell you as an Aries something, okay? Keep this in mind as someone that has to keep in mind that has to love me, is that we are very blunt communicators, okay? And we don't necessarily want to hurt your feelings. We just like to tell you the truth and get to the point. So if you find yourself in a position with your soulmate who is an Aries, and you feel like maybe they're not talking to you a kind of way, and you feel like a way about the way that they're talking to you, the way that they're giving you information, because this has been one of my biggest issues as an Aries, is that just let them know. In a respectful way, not in a way that you're attacking them, okay, but in a way that you can really like be like, okay, soulmate, love, babe, bae, whatever, you know. Like,
and even still, they not even trying to hear it that way. So
sometimes when you communicate with me, you know, it's a little bit harsh. Like, I need you to be gentle with me. You know, now that I'm older and I'm at this stage and I've learned so much about myself that I actually like operate like that when I'm speaking to people, especially when they're asking me for advice or they're telling me something. In my mind, I mentally check myself and say, Dana, 1, is this person asking for your advice? And if they are, 2, be gentle in your delivery. Because I can come off harsh and blunt and just whatever, and I don't even mean it like that. But I've noticed that was something that someone told me, and I know that we Aries have that in common. Fire signs, period, because we're just like, we just give it to you, you know? So that's my advice.
I agree. A little off topic, but my 7th house, well, on that topic, but off topic, we're going to be talking about angels, and we'll get to that in just a moment, y'all. We're just warming up. Allow yourselves to share this live with at least 3 other people or 2 other people, right? Since we're doing 2s, right? 20 people on your list. It doesn't matter whether you think that they're going to agree with this information or not. Allow yourself to be so open and sharing that it allows for other people to open their minds further than what they have maybe reached for before in the past. And sometimes we just think, oh, well, this person wouldn't listen to this, or this person doesn't really know much about this, or they're not interested in this. And you just never know what message Spirit got for them. You know, Spirit likes to drop jewels every so often for any and all types of people. So allow the space to just flow and share. My 7th house ruler is Aries. So like, even though I don't have, any planets or anything in my 7th house, the ruler is Aries. So I tend to have really good relationships with Aries, but that's why a lot of people think that I myself can be a little bit like intimidating at times. And it's like, because I connect well with, people that have like, whether they're Aries, sun, moon, or rising, or especially their Mars in Aries, which is extremely tough. A lot of people don't even know how to deal with a Mars and Aries types of person.
Because Mars and Aries is like, come on, like Mars is like, and then that Aries
It's a
energy is
whole
just,
other different, like you can have your Aries in your sun, but if your Mars or your Venus is slightly like lighter or cooling or calm, it can kind of help balance that energy out, right? But if your Mars is in Aries, like it's a whole different fire than Mars in Scorpio. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I tend to connect with these people a lot. And so when you're talking about keeping it like gully and speaking in the communication, I get it. Like there has been times I had to like step my emotions to the side and to receive the message, because the message that they were trying to deliver was delivered for me. I guess I was being too sensitive. It was delivered almost harshly, right? But the message still applied to what the circumstances were. You know what I'm saying? And that was something that I had to really take a look at, because Aries people do tend to do that. But yeah, are very, you know, they the first, they're like that inner child. They don't really think about it. They just
no,
act on it.
just like
They
that
just
child,
go.
you know, that child that's like, what, mommy, why is that person fat? And you're like, hey, that's Aries. Like we don't think about it. We just ask like, oh wait, I wasn't supposed to ask that. Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to say it like that. Oh, my bad. Like I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry. Like, ooh. Like, you know, like I didn't mean to burn you with my fire. I just really wanted to know.
Right, that part. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's coming in. If you don't know Dana, she has Black Fairy Tings, and then she has Black Fairy, what was the journey?
So I have Black Fairy Tales, and then I had
Yes.
Black Fairy Guidance. Black Fairy Guidance has been put on kind of like a hold. I'm on sabbatical. I don't know what I want to do with that channel.
Okay.
I'm mostly focusing on Black Fairy Tales, where I just am myself. Like I'm sharing a lot more of my spiritual journey and what I've been through, but I'm also sharing like online dating horror stories and hauls, because I'm really working on my shadow work. I'm really working on my relationships. I'm also working on myself and I'm trying to tap back into my divine femininity a lot more. I've been in my masculine a lot. I don't like it here. So I'm evolving and I'm interested in what that looks like. So I'm doing hauls about like clothes that I'm buying for myself that really express more of that feminine energy. Even this, like, you know, my sweaters, I'm wearing a lot more. I'm a lot more girly these days. If you know me from before, I've gone like, and not to say I wasn't girly before, but
I'm like, to me, you was always flying your girly stuff.
So that's what my channel is about, is really just about my spiritual journey within and just everyday stuff. Even the online dating thing, because I know people have asked me about dating, and I have actually done online dating quite a lot, because I find myself, one, I don't go out too much, and two, the other thing is like when I moved to where I moved, it's like I was so far away, like going online was like how I met people. Like a lot of the friends that I have now are people that I met online or through some online source. That's how I made friends.
Right.
So interacting online has always been something
that's how we met.
Exactly.
That's how we met.
That's how we
you
met.
even came to my house.
I know.
That's how we met.
For like, it has to be like, wow.
It's been a while.
It's flown by, but it's been, I'm gonna say like 4 or 5
Maybe
years.
like about 4 years almost,
4 or 5
I
years,
think.
something like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the whole concept of time. And that's why we actually chose today and this time to connect with each other, come on live, and let's continue sharing this. Yes, shout out to B Henny. Make sure you go, everybody, make sure that you just follow each other, get acquainted with each other. Shout out where you are tuning in from. As I mentioned earlier, she's in Canada, I'm in the United States, and so the lifestyle is slightly different as well. The currency is different, right? As far as like money.
Very different right now. I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's going on in Canada, but
Canada be on some stuff that they booty is what I want to say. Angels need to go and surround Canada.
They are here
and fix them angles.
Don't get it
and fix the angles, because them angles
They fixing it. They're working on it. Trust me, they
working on it. Okay.
Honestly, like, because it's all I see. Like, as much as, like, I don't really watch the news, but I definitely am in different groups and things like that are discussing what's going on. There is a lot of fear trying to be invoked, especially today. That's why, like, I think I heard. I didn't confirm because I'm just like, we're under martial law apparently. Like, the Canadian law, we're under martial law as of today. I think they've announced it. Because of the big protests that has been happening and the blockades and things like that. Even though they dispersed them, apparently they removed everybody, but they still want to keep us in emergency lockdown and implied martial law, is what they're saying. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, it's also like, I'm seeing a lot of people now seeing what I knew years ago, which was like the World Economic Forum stuff. And like, I'm seeing it now being passed along. People like, look at this. Our cabinet is corrupt. They're showing all evidence. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, if you want peace, if you want love, if you want light, right? You want to light this world up, you have to be prepared for the darkness that is going to shine itself on, okay? It's going to shine on the darkness too. And it's important that it shines on the darkness, because if we don't acknowledge the darkness, we can't heal the darkness. We can't get through the darkness. There's no going over this, under this. We have to go through it. So this is just like, and a lot of people thought the age of Aquarius was going to happen and boom, heaven on earth was just going to be here. No, this is all of it. People are waking up and seeing the evil that has been in control for so long, because we are awakening our vibration, our frequency, where as we ascend and our bodies ascend into these other energies, you know, these other energies are trying to, drag you back down. Right. That's why they're invoking so much fear and being like, we're going to take your land, we're going to take your guns, we're going to take whatever, we're going to take everything. You guys are going to get these shots all the time and whatever. People are afraid, but you don't have to be afraid. You need to see this. This needed to happen. You know, there's been a lot of loss, but that was required too. Because if these people weren't a loss to these people wouldn't be waking up. They weren't losing their children. If they weren't, you know what I mean? People would not be waking up. So it's like, you have to kind of get into it and stay in charge of your energy. You are the creator of your reality anyways. They don't got shit to do with what you're doing for yourself and what you're creating for yourself, right? And if we can all just remember that and stand firm and be like, you can't take my rights, I'm a sovereign, and claim your sovereignty, you know, as much as you can. So, I mean, I've been keeping myself in a bubble. Like, if I didn't know that, I would probably just go about my day like regular and not know anything, because it's not like there's soldiers in the street or something, you know. But
no, but I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's how I started off this live with, right? Where it was like, you see how spirit worked though, right? How, like, because everybody's like, you know, so, the alignment and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yeah, that's really important. And we talk, I was talking about that connection of being that sovereign being and really owning who you are and your spirituality. And that has a polarity to it as well, right? It's not a duality when the war's already been won with yourself, right? When you already know who you are, now you get to a space where, like, okay, but I live in this dimension as well. And so because I live in this dimension as well, let me get familiarized with, like, certain laws, so that way I can fully be in my sovereignty, be in my rites of passage, in my right of way, and allow myself to really be over the certain legalities, right? And even me, myself, I'm going through this journey. I found the book. I was going to bring the book over here and I didn't bring it, but it's called Trust. Actually, I'll get up and I'll bring it really quick. It's so funny because the angels brought it to me, right? And that's why it's in alignment, how, like, we're talking about this. We're like, oh, we're going to go live talking about angels, but, like, the angles that they have us touching on is, like, so purposeful, so beautiful. Give me a moment.
I have, like, again, just so you guys know, I do have, like, a deep relationship with angels, especially the archangels. I work with them a lot, but I also have a deep connection from childhood. I've been
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We'll get there.
Because when you said, "Oh, the angels need to come," they were like, "We here. What are you talking about?"
That was me being silly. That was me being silly. They already, but that's what I'm saying.
The reason
No,
we're
no,
here,
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hurt no kid. They know, anyways, they know how I am. The angels laugh at me so many times. It's not even funny. Like, we'll get into those stories in just a moment. But that's what I'm saying. Like, look at the conversation that we're having and what angles they have us talking in, right? So this is talking about this book. I found it in the park. Right. And that day I was connecting with my guides, but I was specifically reconnecting with the angels because it had been a while since I had allowed myself to connect with the angels again during that point in my life. Just because, I was really, the spiritual journey, you're really getting reacquainted with who you are. You're trying to learn your energy, the difference between yours, the angelics, your spirit guides, and all these beings. And it's a beautiful journey, knowing, okay, the people outside of you are reflections of you, etc., and really trusting the journey. So when I found the book in the park, I started laughing because I felt like that was them telling me to trust the journey, right? However, there was more to it. And during that time, again, they were also guiding me to people that are big on like sovereign law and stuff like that. And I'm just trying to trust the journey, stuff like that. I see this book and I remember thinking I should take this book. There was nobody around. It was in the park. It was just there on a bench by itself and stuff. But I was like, I didn't want to just take it just to take it. So what I did was I was like, I'm going to leave it here. If by the time I'm ready to leave the park, if it is still there, then I'm going to pick it up. I was in the park for about almost 3 hours that day. And sure enough, when I go back, the book is there. And the book is called Trust, the Secret Weapon of Effective Business Leaders.
Love it.
Okay. And it's white and it has the birds. And I started laughing and I opened it. I'm like, obviously it's talking about business and stuff, but it's also talking about like commerce and all, these things. But there's pages in there that talks about spirituality. And there, it talks about the law. It talks about sovereignty. It talks about commerce, and so I didn't put two and two together at the time because my mind was still, my perception of the bigger picture was I had a different point of view, right? My angles was slightly more to the left than it needed to go right, in order for me to really grasp what messages they were trying to show me and trying to tell me. So because I didn't read the book right away, what they did was they started guiding people into my life that was into these things to bring me the information that I needed to be able to know, wait, this is the angels, right? They were popping up with angelic names. They were popping up with certain messages that I know it had to be one of the angels because I just had a telepathic conversation with them. And I was trying to sit down to listen, to hear, but I was still being a chatterbox in my head. So I couldn't quite download the message at the time. So they sent an external person to come bring me the message, right? Got it. Recently, the book popped up in my head and I was like, oh, isn't this interesting? Astrologically, we have, the time of the shifting of the laws, right? We have the time of now it's time to bring it back to a sovereign space within our spirituality, but in our physicality as well, as above, so below. And to trust the process and learning what it means to build a trust. And this goes building a trust with your guides and building a trust for your foundation on earth as well. So when you start talking about martial law, I'm laughing because, even if you are, I just learned this yesterday. I was yesterday's years old when I learned that if you do notary, you are considered martial law. There's a whole other research to do about, so do your own research, anybody that's watching. But having the ability to notarize papers puts you, part of even higher than certain forces. You know what I'm saying? Because you are martial law at that point. And there's only others above you, but many people more below you, and a lot of people don't realize that. So anyways, that's, I don't want to go too much into that, but just the fact that like you brought up the martial law stuff happening over there in Canada, and like, yeah, I joke around like the angels, like, and they know like I'm a knucklehead, you know.
They're
But
like,
we
why she
had
playing like she don't know we here?
I know, but you G-checked me real quick. You was like, they here. And I knew from even when, as soon as I went live, I could feel them. And like, it's so funny because they know who Dana is. Like, they know Dana. They do. Like, there's some, I mean, they familiar with just about everybody, but sometimes like you'll need to give them a visual, and then they'll understand the person's like by name or whatever. But anyway, angels, and I'm gonna let Dana get into this a little bit more. Just really briefly, I want to say maybe like almost 4 years ago, we were part of a group called Indigo 11, and I had went live talking about angels and the different forms of angels, and being mindful of communication with the angels, because right away everybody just gets so excited and connecting with angels that they don't necessarily realize that there's thousands of different types of, thousands of angels, and there's even different types of angels. And even though they are different types of angels, it does not make them any less angelic. And so they do have access to the angelic realm. And or if they're not necessarily accessing the angelic realm, they still have the angelic language to speak and communicate with us. And so that's something that we're definitely going to be getting into as well. But I want Dana to share her experiences, because she's always sharing stories, especially like from when she was a child. And that's where we're going to bring it back. We're going to go back to when we was children. So I'm going to let you take it from there.
Well, like you said, I just honestly, my whole like mission here has been different. I'm only just now starting to truly understand, and I honestly not even exactly sure that I have a specific mission, right? We all come here with this idea that we're here to do something important, but I actually feel like some people didn't come here to do anything important. Some people just wanted to have a different experience, right? Like some people just wanted to, check it out. Like, oh, I want to have a different experience. Let me see what this world's like. I'm going to incarnate over here and see what that's like to be human. Some people got trapped here. Some people like it's different. Everybody's different. But when it comes down to it with me, I remember like I've always been like, and I hate saying this, but like a special child. Okay, we're all special. But even my conception was special in the sense that my mom had tied her tubes. She wasn't having any more children. Okay, she tied her tubes after she had my brother. 4 years later, she got pregnant with me. So obviously, I was determined to be here. Okay, tied tubes did not stop my incarnation, right? So I've been called a miracle baby in my family and things like that. But my mom has even had like weird instances with me, even as a baby. Like I know after I was born, she had a dream, and my father's mother, who had passed away, was holding me. She sat at the end of the bed, and I don't want to give too much because it's not my story to tell. But basically, she was implying that like I had like a connection to like the spiritual realm. You know what I'm saying? I crawled super early. I was like, it always seemed like I was talking to someone or something. And even when I was little, I remember my mom would catch me talking to the angels. I know now that like I was talking to angels, but I was like, oh, it's just my imaginary friend, because I didn't want her to think I was being too odd. My mom's Christian and she believes in angels, but not in the sense of a spirit, more of a religious sense than a spiritual sense. And there's a difference, right? So I was like, oh, I'm just talking to my imaginary friends, but I've always had the connection with angels. I always knew that they were there for me. I always felt that I had to be able to feel their presence. When I was younger, I could see them. I don't necessarily see them now. I'm not gonna say I lost the gift. I just didn't. I stopped tapping into the gift at one point, and when I reconnected, it didn't fully come back on. I mean, it could, but they've even told me like it's not a big deal. We're here. You can feel us. You don't need to see us. Like you don't need to see us in like the visual sense. Like we're here. You feel it. We're here, right? And so I remember even from younger, I used to like. When I used to pray, it wasn't necessarily Jesus. I would always ask for angels or ask for angels, and they would come and comfort me, all sorts of things. I have a lot of amazing, beautiful experiences as a child with angels. So when I came to this spiritual evolution that I went through when I was about the age of 25 and 38 now, so it was 15 plus years ago. And I started reconnecting with angels. And one of the first beings that my ancestors sent me to was Archangel Michael. It made a lot of sense to me. It was very familiar, so it was easy, especially stepping back into it, needing guidance, needing protection, needing love. You know, the angelic realm is filled with that. Angels are one of my favorites to work with as far as angelic beings and masters and spirit guides, because they literally do not judge. They have no judgment in them. You could be a serial killer, and if you call on them, they're going to come because that is their duty. It's their duty to help you. And even at your lowest, even at your worst. And the thing is, they don't only help you, but they love you. Okay, they're going to love you and love on you and be that helpfulness that you need. So that's why I love working with angels. That's why I feel like I definitely understand why they have such a strong presence for me as guides here, because I'm an Aries and a Taurus and a Gemini as my 3 first signs. I'm emotional, okay? So I need that kind of patience and love. So it makes sense that a lot of my guides are actually angels, and why I work so well with them, because their energy just gives me what I need. So I work with a lot of angels in that aspect, and that connection has been very deep even from like childhood. So that's a little bit about that.
I want to share something that you mentioned, because the day that we spoke about coming live here, I was like, oh my God, I have been getting the messages from the angels that they wanted to be talked about. And then here you come and you're like, yeah, I'm doing a live talking on your black fairy tales and talking about your experiences with angels. And I was like, oh my God, just total confirmation. Like they've been definitely like giving me the message. I haven't done it, but do you want to go together? And in that video, if I'm not mistaken, you were saying that you don't have to necessarily do anything special. You just have to call on them. And I love that, because there was a person that I was trying to help them through their journey, through their spiritual journey. And they had this ritual that was, or yeah, I'm gonna call it a ritual because it's a passed down ritual thing that they do to connect with certain angels. And this is where I had to remind them of that. Remember, I mentioned the live earlier where it's like, I like to call on the benevolent angels, because there's, you know, like people will say like Lucifer, Lucerian, are very different.
Story about that.
Right. And I remember you were telling me about this show too, so it's so funny. But like Lucifer is still considered an angel. You know what I'm saying?
Not just an angel, he's an archangel, and he was the angel closest to God.
Correct. And that does not, just because he has fallen does not necessarily mean that he is less than an angel. He is still an angel. You know what I'm saying? That's still his position. He's just not in the same position that he had held before. And so that's where I was talking about. Some may still have access, some may not still have access, but they still have the same language, and they still come from that angelic source. And so if you want to connect with that, fine. That's okay. Just know what you're connecting with, and know that you are first in command, and they're working with you. right? And sometimes people get bothered when I sound like this or say this or whatever. And like even certain angels, you know, they their feelings are very, their emotions are, they don't have the emotions like us, but they have feelings. And they sometimes the way that they feel about certain things that I say, they could feel however they feel, but the facts remain that they work for us. And because they work for us, it doesn't mean you have to be rude or nasty to them or anything like that. I don't like to be that way
I mean,
to
they don't
them.
take it either way. Like because they're
Right.
energetic
Because
level
they
is
just
that.
do what they here to do. Right. And they help us fix at different angles to the pictures of our perception in life. So that way it's a bit more, especially if it's the benevolent ones, right? Where it's a bit more at ease for us, right? Now, if you get one that's kind of like a little bit of a trickster, it's still going to push us into the path of our highest good, right? But it's gonna feel so distorted at times, and it is what it is, right? But that's how each angel has their own gift. Just like every person on earth has their own individual characteristic and attitude and way of being and energetic signature, so do the angels, you know? And so she had this like ritual where you had to do certain prayers. It was with connecting with the archangels, and you do the archangel prayer each day of the week. The angel that is connected to that day of the week, you do that prayer, right? I'm cool with that. Fine. You do that for the 7 days. After the 7 days, you're supposed to carry on from the first day. The way that it works is that somebody gives you an apple, and this apple is given to you from a person that just finished doing this ritual, right? And the apple is used as an offering on the altar for the angels. And then you do the prayer each 7 day, and then on the seventh day, you are to gift the apple to somebody else, and the next person over is responsible for carrying over the prayers for the next 7 days and keep moving the apple forward. If not, then you have to take a bite of the apple. And I did not like how that sounded.
I don't like that. I don't like the energy of that.
Right. And so she's like, oh no, it's to connect with the angels. And mind you, she's new on her journey, but it's not really my business to say how she learned it, but it was a family thing. And I was just like, I've been connecting with angels almost my whole life. And as far as I'm concerned,
they don't even
a
ask
prayer,
for anything. You don't need to give an
they
offering.
they don't even, they don't like food. They don't need food.
They don't need
They
it.
don't
Like
they don't get energetically charged
I
up.
explore
Food
different
is
options.
too dense. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Food is too dense for the angels. So they don't even really care much for food. They will bless your food. They will be grateful for it, but they don't ask for it and they don't need it. They don't require that as an offering, right? That's one about the food. Two is they're grateful just connecting with you and being remembered and being used in that way. They're happy if you want to do an offer for them. Water, a glass of water, a clear glass of water, and a white candle, or a candle that is associated with their auric color, they are completely happy with that. The prayer part, cool, they like that. So I understood it, but when I heard
I like
the prayer
part of the angel, especially, well, I guess it would depend on the purpose, but to do like each day you're calling, because usually it's like the blah blah blah. The day of the week angels are actually the archangels. Like for instance, I was born on a Wednesday, and if I'm not mistaken, that is Archangel Raphael. So he's assigned to me by my date of birth. In that sense, you know what I'm saying? I think people who are born on Sunday, it's Archangel Michael. So I like the idea only because all those angels are actually like very progressive. Like I can see how as a whole thing, maybe doing a ritual of like, oh, I'm gonna pray to one angel each day so that I can get the blessing of whatever their gift and assignment is. And then, but I don't understand of the apple passing over and like and the biting into the apple if you miss something. I don't get that.
So I had, because I told her, but when she started, she was like, I need somebody by the 7th day. Like, but she was like, I need somebody. Like, it was like, and I can feel her sense of like urgency and stuff. And I was like,
anxiety about what will happen if she doesn't.
Right. So then I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm sitting and I love connecting with Archangel Michael as well. I'm born on a Tuesday, so I connect with you know,
repping a little bit with the blue.
And I see the blue. I know. I see. I see. And my for those of you that don't know, my name is Angelica, and Angelica is actually one of Archangel Michael's flowers of dedication. So I know that he's always been with me. Actually, you know, he's a rider for me for sure, and I absolutely love him, and I don't care how y'all feel about it. Oh well.
But no, that's my best friend.
He's like, I'm here for everybody.
That's exactly what he said. He's like, girl, stop.
At the same time. And I love his energy in that way. It's so funny. But
he does have a very funny energy. He's a very funny guy. Like, he's a very
he laughed at me quite a few times. There was so I just to kind of finish getting on that. So I'm like, Archangel Michael, you know, because it was, again, not only was it during the time that I found the book, but it was also during the time that I was allowing myself to reconnect with the angels again. So now I'm hearing this, and I had never heard this a day in my life before. So I was like, I don't want my ego to be in the way of this, and I'm not trying to have confirmation bias. So I'm going to just be observant to this. But if this is something that y'all want me to do, or that it is truly in alignment with the angelic realm and the angelic forces and the archangels, please guide me and let me know. So like you mentioned, the parts of the prayer a day is in alignment with them. They hear the prayers, they like it, so they come in. However, there was more to that ritual, that it was just, remember, because all their job is to do is their job. They are just that energetic being. So they have their specialty, and like you said, they do not judge. So they are without bias. Therefore, as stated, you could be a murderer, you could be this, you could be that. They are still going to do the job that they are worked to do. And that specific like ritual was worked to connect those, to bring those archangels to your house, to do the job that that person wanted you to do, that was connected to the apple, that the angels, because they did the prayers and stuff like that, the angels were just doing their jobs. But it wasn't going to serve me in my highest good. It wasn't something that they wanted to bring. They was like, we already connect with you, and that's going to bring another energy into the house. And they were using the connection of the angels as a gateway to go into the home. Mm-hmm. To bring the other energy through the apple. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so I was so I told them like, no, whatever. And then, you know, they was like, oh, it's fine or whatever. But then I was like, what would happen if you didn't, before I found out about the biting of the apple part, I said, what would happen if somebody didn't take the apple? They was like, oh, well, all the angels would take away all your wishes and grant it, all the wishes that they had grant you, they would take it away, and you have to bite the apple as a sacrifice. And I was like, that doesn't sound really angelic. I said, and if it is angelic, I said, if it is angelic, it's not fully in alignment with the benevolent archangels. And so this is why I mentioned Lucifer, because they also connect with Archangel Lucifer. And Archangel Lucifer is a trickster, is an angel that does like to provoke.
Little bit. I was going to say that because on my exploration of angels, especially because we're talking about Lucifer, it was funny because I came across a lot of different things. Because there's the religious Lucifer, and then there's a whole other entity Lucifer. One is a trickster, one is not. The entity and that they call Lucifer, aka Satan, is the trickster. But there's actually Archangel Lucifer, who
and Satan and Lucifer are two different entities. I'm sorry to cut you off. There are two different energies anyway. But go ahead.
So on my journey, like when I jumped back into like learning about angels, into my spiritual journey, I wanted to learn about angels away from the religious aspect. And I went on this journey, and I went on, I came across the YouTube videos of like these women who were like channeling the angels and pretty much having discussions with them. They were channeling to ask the angels these things. One of them channeled Lucifer, and he talked about a lot of the misconceptions about him. And even the show Lucifer talks about the misconception of him. Even in the show, he said, and he said that too on the interview. He's like, you guys give me so much power over your life. I don't send you to hell. I don't even keep you there. You send yourselves. I'm just the jailer. I'm the overpaid fucking like guardsman. Like, why are you blaming me for you being here when one, you're here because you sent yourself here, okay? Because of your guilt in your heart about what you did, you sent yourself to hell. And now you're gonna blame all of this on me? It's not my fault. Like, you know what I mean? That's the other, like, it's kind of like you get the bad rap, right? Because in essence, a lot of people call on Lucifer. They may be bad people, but it's because his frequency is able to guide people through that darkness. That's why he's the overruler of hell. Correct. Because he can help you, guide you. You can get out of hell. You can even help people get out of hell. Like if you feel like you had a great uncle that turned up in hell, you can help them remove themselves from hell. You can give them you can open the door for them, but that's a totally different story, different topic. But
no, but it's an alignment. But yeah,
that helps them try to get them to the other side so they can release themselves from hell. It's not that he sent you there or that he tricked you into going there or anything like that.
They don't have that power
at all. At all.
And that's why I said their only power is working for us. And so whatever the mission or the task it is that we give them is what they work on, and they do. And so because they chose, like I said, they did work with that energy. But the way that they chose, because you and I could both work with Archangel Michael, but it doesn't mean that we're going to work with Archangel Michael in the same ways. Exactly. And so it doesn't mean that Archangel Michael is not going to do what Archangel Michael does, in our lives. He's going to do it, but it's going to have to, he's able to work with you simultaneously while he's working with me and do different jobs. That's his ability. You know what I'm saying? The archangel specifically, that's their ability. Different levels of angelic beings, again, they have different energies, different energetic signatures, powers, abilities, and they have different.
They're the head of their squad.
Correct.
The head of their squad. So, like Archangel Michael, he has a legion of warrior angels ready to go to war for you. Archangel Raphael has a legion of healing angels ready to heal your body. So they are just the top tier of the angels, and then there's your guardian angels, there's your birthday angels, there's so many.
There's the Charians angels
that are assigned to you in many different ways for many different reasons. Like that's why I said, what do I have to be afraid of? I'm squatted up, okay?
Facts, big facts. And I knew instantly, and I was like, no, like she was using, because it was all our archangels, it was the 7 days with Gabriel, Shamiel, the archangels of the 7 days, boom. And then Lucifer with the apple, right? And that's the occult archangel, as stated, right? But it also, because, like you said, they also have their legions. He has his legions. And again, that's why it was the apple, right? Like as the forbidden fruit. The way that they did it though, like she was taking it. It wasn't in a religious space. It was in a spiritual space, but she was integrating certain tales to maneuver the magic the way that they had wanted the magic to work. And because I've had as stated, the communication that I had, I was like, no. And actually, the reason why I brought that up was because not just that person specifically, but there may be other people that are misinformed, and they wanted me to share this story based on my experience, because for whoever may be watching the replay or watching now, possibly there may have been a person or a feeling, maybe you were connecting with a certain spirit that's not necessarily an angelic spirit, and you confusing the spirit, and you're feeling like you have to do certain offerings or certain rituals to connect with they want you to know, no, you don't have to do those things. You have to simply trust with an open heart. With an open heart, call on them, connect with them, and just trust and know that they are with you. And even if there is a trickster energy around you that is trying to portray, they are there in the room with you, trying to cut the illusion, to dismantle that trickster, so that you are aware. All right? I don't know who, I got goosebumps all over. I don't know who it's for, but they are literally fighting a war for you that you don't even know that you're fighting energetically, so that you can be cleared and move on your way, move forward with clarity. And they want you to just keep trusting in them and know that they are working with you. And again, just if you're unsure and you want to say the benevolent ones, as stated, there has been times where I had communicated where they're not necessarily, just because they're not benevolent doesn't mean that they're evil, in my book. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at my chart, you'll be like, demonio! And I'm like, what the fuck ever.
But I'm saying, like, what is evil? What is evil?
A perception of the mind, you know, for a person.
Like, what I think is evil, the person who's doing that evil could think that they're completely justified. I think I have a video that I talked about that too. Like, people's perceptions are their perceptions. And even, I think it was actually the video where I talked about that I just did, where I was saying, like, sometimes I like being the villain. If it, you know what I mean? And I went into the fact that it's a role that you have to take sometimes in other people's stories for you to be able to stand in your truth, to be who you are.
And just be okay with that shit.
You have to be okay with the fact that no matter what you do, their perception is used, that you did them wrong, that you are the villain in the story, regardless if that was your intent, regardless if that's what you were trying to do. You know what I mean? That's just a part of it, you know? So it's just like, when I think about evil, that's so evil. Like, yeah, things can seem evil to me, but that person in their own deluded mind may not have that same perception.
Right, just like that ritual, they didn't find nothing wrong with it. They didn't think it was anything wrong. They was like, no, that's just how we kick it over here, you know? So to them, it was completely justified. It was not evil, it was not nothing wrong. And I never called it evil. I was just like,
I think it's dark.
Nah, I'm not. That's
very dark.
Right. And I was like, that's how y'all roll, and that's cool, but that's not me right there. You know,
roll in the shadows.
But I had and that's okay, and that's what I was getting at, right? Where there was a time when an angelic being was connecting with me, and they do roam in the shadows. And because they roam in the shadows, the way I loved it, because it took me a while to be okay, because I had to do my shadow work. You know what I'm saying? I had to really, and it's not that something's wrong with me or anything like that. It was just getting to know who I am energetically as a being first. And they wanted to help assist me, but they did not have access to the angelic realm anymore. Okay, because of their energetic signature and tier and stuff. However, they still had the angelic tongue and the way that they spoke, and they still had their abilities. They never lost their powers. Okay, they are just, because of the frequency that they vibe on, they don't necessarily, I don't want to say that I don't want to say that they don't have access to go to that realm. I don't fully know that right now, because I'm kind of being a little corrected, but it's more so that they do not go to that realm because the frequency and energies that they work with is in a different playing field, but they are still an angelic being. That's one. They still have their powers. That's two. And they still have their language. That's three. And this being was connecting with me so that I could be less afraid of certain thought forms I had created in these dark spaces, so that I can actually be more aware of what my gifts were and why. That's why I was like, if you look at my chart, you might let them tell it. They'd be like, oh, demonio, demon, whatever, because I have a lot of darker, naturally darker based energy. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to really know how to it took me time in my journey, and especially you just said it, like, we are forever growing in our journey and learning and stuff like that. And so just really I say, like, the archangels have their ways of being, but then there's also like higher angels, in a sense that, for example, like Archangel Metatron is not necessarily like an archangel, right? But it was through the archangels that I was able to connect with Archangel Metatron, that actually connected me to an ascended master and stuff. And they all was laughing at me because I did not want to connect with the ascended master, because I didn't trust the ascended master. I didn't trust another archangel. There was another I'm sorry, not archangel, there was another angel that was also trying to communicate with me that I didn't fully trust. And I was like, so I call on my squad, I call on Archangel Michael, on Archangel, and they were laughing at me. They really laughed, and I had to laugh because I was like, okay, like, obviously this is me like getting in my way, but it was because there was certain how I said messengers. The angels will send you external messengers, right? They're trying to send you a message or a download or an upgrade or something, and you're not quite the upgrade. From my experiences, when they're sending or helping, assisting during upgrades, it's more energetically in the body. And so it's not really that you're going to get somebody outside of you delivering a message. It's more just reconstruction of like your DNA or your organs, your cell, etc., like certain things like that. So you might experience more like purging or ascension symptoms and stuff like that when it's the upgrades. When it's downloads, usually it's like information that is downloaded from your Akasha, and they're either playing the role of the messenger from your Akasha, or they end up sending somebody else because you or for example, like me, like I said, there was that time I'm getting this download, but I was too chattery in the mind, and I couldn't fully grasp the message from my Akasha. And so the angels sent a physical person as a messenger to me, right? So because they do these things, where was I getting with that? Because I totally lost my that's an ability that they have. I don't know if it'll come to me, but that was something that came up. So whoever needed to hear that, that's something that they will make a way. They will make a way for you to know that they're around and working with you. And as stated, it helps change your point of view in life, and certain things. I know you were talking about one time, I know you mentioned about the villain thing, but I laughed because I was like, that's me. I was like, listen, somebody got to be the bad guy in somebody's story. So
you want me to be the bad guy?
Say hello to my little friend. But I want you to share, what is a story that was really meaningful to you, that you feel like it made such an impact on your perception from then to now, that you feel like somebody else could benefit from, or even just share the story, and who knows, maybe it is supposed to benefit somebody, maybe it isn't. But
Okay, so wait, ask me again. What was the question?
What was an experience you had with the angelic, with an angelic being, whether it's an angel, archangel, whichever role of an angel? What experience can you share with us? Was there an experience that was very impactful in your life that was really oh my God, I'm stuttering. All right. An impactful experience with the angels that you had that made you shift your perception from then to now, that you think others can benefit from your story.
Hmm. I've had so many encounters with angels, like I said, like from when I was little. So, and they've all been impactful in their own way. I will say, the discovery of like angels and connecting with them again outside of the religious spectrum was very different and impactful for me,
Mm-hmm.
because after like truly understanding angels and how they operate, it was, I don't know, because it was very different, you know, the way like, because I guess I had to explore so much. I had to explore so much. Like I really went like, okay, who are angels to like witches? Who are angels to like, you know, spiritual beings? And just like, you know, who are angels to, you know, even in association with, you know, like the Anunnaki, because people refer to them as angels and all these different things. I went through all these different aspects. When it came down to it,
How old were you when you started doing that research? And how long were you? Because I was never really a religious person, so I love hearing stories like this. It helps me also.
so I was in, well, I was always very rebellious Christian. I always questioned a lot of things. Like I think Sabbath school teachers were just like, "Girl, like accept what I'm telling you." You know what I'm saying? Like accept what I'm telling you. I'm like, but I don't get this, or this contradicts this. And I was always that child. And even like when I was a teenager and I was very rebellious, I would like, because I grew up in a very strict religion. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, which is one of the strict
Okay.
Christian religions. Like, very, I don't want to get into it too much because it's like off topic, but very strict religion. So it's very strict. So I was very much, you know, embodied in church. Like didn't just go to church I went to church on Saturdays because they celebrate the Sabbath. But I was at church Friday nights. I was at church on Wednesdays and sometimes a Monday. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those things. Like we were very ingrained. So even stepping outside of it, like you have to understand how even that was just difficult enough. And when I started put my first altar together, like that was high anxiety because, you know, in the back of my mind, my subconscious was telling me, demon, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna go to hell, you know? And I started reaching out to my ancestors, and it was funny because my ancestors, the first being that they told me I needed to work with was Archangel Michael. And that was because I had so much trauma and chaotic energy and cords attached to me that I like, because I shared this too when I talk about in my video that I shared leaving the church, like leaving Christianity and stepping into spirituality. You know, it was hard. Like I spent the first 2 months just crying at my altar. Like the first 2 months I had an altar and I set up my ancestor altar, I cried for like 2 months every day. And I would journal and I would cry, and they're like, "Girl, we need to help you get through this because you can't just be sitting here bawling." You know what I'm saying? You gotta.
It happens though. That's the purge.
Yeah, the purge is good, but at the same time, you can get stuck in the purge. You can get swallowed in the purge. So you know they need to get like, exactly. You need to be dragged out. You know, Michael gave me his hand and just pulled me out and up and was just like, let's do this. Like, we're going to cut the cord. We started working on things together. We started, you know, he made me go within myself and figure out where all the hurt was coming from and how to cut the cords. And even like, I've been blessed by him a lot. Like, he gave me a sword in one of my meditations with him. He presented me a sword. Like, you don't even need me to cut your cords. You're your own being in yourself. You gave me strength. He gave me a sword that I still see myself with, my higher being with. You know, he's given me 2 silver coins for safety and peace. Pardon me?
I said beautiful.
Yeah. So he's left me with some gifts. he's given me some gifts and strengths, and he's definitely helped me cut the cords in my life. I still recalibrate with him. Like I do angel guided meditation. I have two specific that I like that deal with. One deals with all the archangels. The other one is mostly Archangel Michael, and I believe Archangel Metatron joins in the end. Yeah, he joins in the end, but it's like really to like balance my chakras and realign my chakras. I like working with them for that. They're amazing at rebalancing your chakras and realigning you. So when I started to do all those things, like I said, like he's giving me a lot of gifts. I would say that's the most impactful. It wasn't just one thing though. It was like that part of my journey that I really needed him. And I was working with him outside of the realms of like religion and just in my own spiritual bubble was probably one of the most beautiful times. most even like it's like as beautiful as it was a lot of pain, right? Because I was releasing a lot of traumatic energy. Like I haven't been able to get into it, but I've been through a lot. Okay, so with that being said, I had to release so much. So I have like this great bond and friendship with him now. You know what I mean? And like again, we're bonded for like life, like home, like always here, like that's always. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where we connected so much that we are like, you know. So like, I was like, that's my best friend, and he was like, I'm everybody's best friend. Stop.
No,
You know?
I thank you for sharing that, because the purge and him helping pull out all the time, he does that. That's a very real thing that Archangel Michael, if you ever feel like maybe you're too stuck in a place or something, not only is it cutting cords, but he is really good at helping pulling you out. But you have to be willing, right? He'll give you his hand, but you have to grab it. And I know from experience too, like she said, because when we are
it
in
makes
like
me emotional. Like honestly, like I know you can't tell with the filter, but I'm telling you, like tears in my
can
eyes,
feel
like,
you.
it makes me emotional. I don't know if you guys can feel it in my spirit, but it's just like it's an emotional thing. And even just thinking about the connection and how much he's helped me, it just that love washes over me because he's always around. Like he stays around. Okay? He stays around. So. You know, and it's just like, because like, and once you feel that angelic energy, you'll understand it. So if you've ever wanted to work with angels, it's not that hard. It's actually quite simple. Again, like Angelic said, I have a video on it. If you want to get like, so just some basic introduction, you know, because it can, maybe somebody needs to hear that. Maybe the angels are calling to whoever's going to watch this video to work with them, especially right now. We're at a high frequency time. You're going through a purge right now. A lot of us are, where we're purging, and some people at different levels. Like I know some people that are just awakening, that are just like high anxiety because the energy's so high, you know? So a lot of you need this angelic, non-judgmental, unconditional love energy that these angels provide. And I think that's why even today, as we're closing this gateway and stepping into this new alignment, the angels want to let you guys know we're here for you. We're here for you. We're ready. Always there when you call. Always on time. Gave you my. they're always there, ready. Okay. So I think that's why we had it today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why we had it today. And whoever sees this,
all days that we could have did it, all days and all times, like we were just like, it worked out. It just worked out in time. Because you didn't know your schedule as far as like work goes, and I didn't know how my schedule was gonna be, and it was like, no. So yeah, I definitely recommend anybody that's watching this. What she doesn't only just talk about angels, okay? She has pulled out cards every so often, or just channeling just from her being. And that's one thing that I like working with the angels as well, is that they do not, unless you give them permission to intervene on your free will, they will not impose on your free will, which allows you to still be connected to your sovereignty, which still allows for you to be connected to your essence. Okay? Not every spirit does that. There are some spirit, and I'm gonna keep it godly. Even some ancestors, sometimes they want things done a certain way that they want it, and they will try to impose over your free. They can't. Everything, no spirit can. They would try though. Some would try. The angels
every
would not.
spirit guide needs your permission. But when you're welcoming energies into your home and into your space and into your being, you have to be very specific in which you invoke them. Like,
correct.
When I invoke these energies, I'm always like, I'm calling you forward in love, light, truth, and righteousness, or say something to that sense, because darkness can't step in through that. Those energies can't step in through.
And we spoke about that. We spoke about that like years ago, because I was like, no,
we talked about that from like the indigo
during readings, and I was like, no, always call on them, but like through benevolence, truth, and righteous. Like that's how I always and because I work with so many different people and stuff like that, and they'll have other guides, and I'm like, listen, I'm not judging y'all, but y'all gotta come with if y'all not coming with truthfulness and righteousness, y'all don't have zero permission to communicate with me. You have zero permission to be in any access realm or dimensions of my existence until that, and because they don't have permission and authority, they can't. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why it's important to be specific in that sense of like when you're dealing with these energies, calling out to anything and anybody. You have to be able to like really
even if it's a lower realm energy, as stated, having them be truthful is important, right? Because even if let's say you're connecting with like a trickster energy, right? As long as, again, you tell them be truthful, now they can't trick you with lies per se. They may not necessarily tell you the whole full truth now, but you know what you are working with. You know what I'm saying? It's very different. It's very different. So like, yes, use your intentions. Go ahead.
Have you ever read the book Outwitting the Devil?
I did. It's so good. It is so good. Highly recommend that book to everybody watching also. That was from her.
The Devil. Yes, highly recommend. I actually didn't.
They have a free audio book on YouTube.
I don't think I ever finished reading it. Now that I think about it.
I think I have. I don't remember though. It was a while ago. But they have a free audio book on YouTube, Outwitting the Devil. And I think it's like 2.5 hours or 3 hours or something like that, which is like watching a Netflix movie or series or something,
you know? Avengers, one time.
Exactly.
Avengers movie.
So, I mean, I think that everyone will get something.
When you think about the context of that book, it was him talking to the devil in a space that we are in right now. At the turn of the century, it was around the Great Depression that he wrote this book. So a lot of what the devil is telling him, you will see through that. The spirit's like, maybe you need to reread that book, Dana.
I was just going to say, and that's a book that you could reread and you'll get something different out of it every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, you know what, that's the third time I've brought up that book. I really feel that like you need to like finish that book. I don't think I finished it. If you look at any of my books, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take a little interest in that. I might have to read that book again.
Yes. And Lucifer, I did see the series a bit. I didn't watch it all. I don't even know if I finished the first season, but it was so funny.
A big old mockery, but they did again. Like,
it was so funny. I was not interested in it at all till Dana told me about it, and I was like just hearing her laughing and laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing about? She's like, this show, da da da, and you were breaking things down, and I went to watching it, and I was like, yo, like it has so many. It has subliminals, but it was so blatant. Also, like just too blatant in your face. There's no denying.
A lot of shows I watch with my third eye. I'm always catching things, and like and let me tell you something. Even like people get down on people about watching TV. I no longer do that because I had spirit drop some gems on me through the shows that I chose to watch. That I was just like, oh, let me take this in. And I've always been like into shows about supernatural and things like that. So you know, even like so. To me, like it always resonated with me, but I always find like spirit's gonna find a way to give you a message regardless, even if it's using the portals that they set up for themselves here through their television. You know, you can still gain the truth if you're paying attention, if you're watching in the right way, if you're watching
because of polarity, like we said, the tool that's where it brings the unity, because it allows from one side and the other side to, they work in the same match. First of all, they work in that magic from our ancestors any freaking way. You know what I'm saying? So, but as stated, we may work with the same archangel, we may work with it differently, right? And so because of that, the same way that they putting these things on the TV doesn't mean that we have to be so consumed by it in the way that they're doing their rituals, but rather be shielded from their rituals and still allow ourselves to receive the messages that we're supposed to be receiving, what resonates with us, and leave the rest behind. I agree with the TV stuff. I personally, like, I don't have a television in my room, but that's because, like, I go through waves, right? It depends what's going on in my life, but like the frequency of like electronics sometimes can be a bit too much. But there's a TV in my living room, you know what I'm saying? And I pick and choose. Sometimes I'm watching a show on the phone or like on YouTube or something or whatever. I say that to say that it's the same like watching TV. If you're on the internet all day, it's the same like being on TV all day and everything like that. Whatever you're consuming is the point. Usually when it's about not watching it, there might be a point in your life that maybe you just need a detox from it to clear your auric field, to clear your pineal gland and everything like that, to get more centered with spirit. And so that's why, you know, you might be like, oh no, I can't watch TV right now, I'm too sensitive to it or whatever. But also remember to keep yourself listening to your spirit and listening to your body and connecting with your guides, because there's going to be a point in time when they're going to say, okay, well, now you have to, you've connected with us closer and deeper, and now it's time for you to bring your heaven on earth and be balanced and strong enough to be resilient to the energies that they are projecting out, aka going into the room and owning your energy regardless of what the environment is like.
No, honestly, because like even like, that goes back to even what I was saying. Like I don't watch the news. I don't watch the narrative of the elites at all. Even like in the groups that I am in that are more about freedom and things like that. Like what I love about those groups is that I see people getting together. I see the protests, these huge protests of people joining together, fighting for freedom, fighting for the rights of all of us, and it gives me pride. I'm like, look at this. This is also bringing people together in a major way. People from all different sorts of lives, all different races, all different cultures coming together because people are starting to wake up to how wrong this is, right? So, but then you still see certain aspects of like negativity that people infiltrate on in these groups and things like that, right? Where they'll infiltrate. There's a lot of people who operate in fear and create a lot of things like that. I try to avoid those ones. Once I see that, I'm like, I'm out of here. You're not giving me what I need. Like, I need to see that we're coming together. I don't need to see, you know what I mean? Because obviously there is going to be opposition.
You don't have no power unless you obey me.
Exactly. And obviously there's going to be opposition. I don't understand why people like think that, you know, they knew that this was coming and they had a plan to combat it. And it's up to us to stay on the high frequency so that they don't win. And that's all it is. And it's those who fall to the negativity and the fear that are the only reason why this is continuing. But I know that in Canada, it's like it's super thick over here. So it makes a lot of sense. Because even like still, like if I go outside right now, not outside, but let's say if I go on the train and I go into the trains, everybody has masks on. I know in the States, that's like nobody's doing that anymore. Here, everybody's doing it. I don't wear a mask.
That's why I said Canada being booty.
But I'm like the only person, literally. Like when I see someone who doesn't have a mask on, it's almost like we look at each other, we're like, "Oh my God, hi, you're free."
So let me ask you this. It's a two-part question because I feel like one, whoever needed that information from earlier is asking, I guess, and you could answer whichever way you want to, whichever question you want to answer first, answer it according however you feel. Yeah. So the first question is, Do you recommend a specific like source of like resource that a person can go to or check out? I know you mentioned your video, but as far as like maybe a book, a document, or something like that where they have like the proper like prayers and stuff, or just Google? And then the second question is at the first question in regards to the angels, prayers for the angels, right? If that's necessary, is it not? We both have our own differences. I think we have the same agreement though with it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm intuitively picking up. But anyway, and then the second question is, being that all of this is happening in Canada and everything like that, with the martial law, where everybody just, wearing the mask and behaving how they are, like you said, you're not wearing the mask, and I know that's something that a lot of people take offense to it, or the whole jab stuff going on, without, I guess, getting too political. If you want to get political, feel free. However you feel like you need to answer this question, but how can you or anybody else connect with the angels to help bring resolution to this type of situation? Is there any type of prayer or any type of thing that can be done, or is it something that we just allow to ride out? Is based on what you're picking up.
Well, okay, so first question. I don't think there's any right way. I mean, if you want to learn more about angels, then I just say Google and YouTube, and people are explaining them. Like you'll find information about, especially specific angels, right? For sure, like you can get that information online. Any resource that I had, I've completely lost to this point. Like I remember one of the books that I read about angels was in the Indigo 11 group in the book section that they had of like files. Or it was one of,
I remember.
I think that's the last place that I shared it. And it was about how to reconnect with angels. I remember that book. I can't remember what it's called. That's the thing. Like, but I remember it helped me really like get back.
I may still have the book on PDF. I may still have it. I have to double check on my iPad. I'll let you know.
I'll know it because I remember what it's about, and I remember like what it was telling me, and I remember the guidance. Like it did have prayers. It did have like.
I never read it, but I did download it. I did. I think I have it.
It had activities to like help you connect with your angels better. Even if you wanted to even physically see them, it had like practices for you to help practice yourself to get your third eye open to see that in that realm. It was funny because I have a funny story about that. I remember when I read that book and I was into like, oh, I want to see them. And then I went into meditation, and I was sitting there, and they said, just ask your angels to reveal themselves. So I asked, and Archangel Michael showed up. It was that blue indigo aura. That's how I know him. He always introduced me like that, a blue indigo aura. Not really of anything. It's usually like a blob of light that is just, I know his presence is there. And then I was just like, no, I want to see you. I want to see you for real. He I remember him laughing at me. Okay. And also I remember him telling me, be like, well, one, I'm only going to show up as how you could perceive me. So it's not going to be, who I am. Like no human has seen them because you won't perceive it. You can't take them. So they show up in a form in which they can be accepted, which usually like is the portrayal of what we've been shown angels look like, the wings and like the long hair with the beard, right? Like they're usually very androgynous, you know what I mean? So like that actual book, the person who wrote the book, she said one of her guardian angels looked like Barack Obama for some reason, like literally his face. That's funny. How he showed up to her. She's like, I don't know why, but he chose that name. You know what I'm saying? But I thought that was so funny. Imagine waking up and seeing Barack Obama, a 7 foot, like 8 foot Barack Obama, chilling there guarding you. But that's what she was saying. One of her angels, literally, And I remember I was sitting there. I was like, no, I want to see something. Like, just give me what I can prepare for. Give me what I can prepare for. And it was literally like it was literally a blank screen. I was in meditation, asking them this, and across the screen is this picture of an angel just. I'm like, okay, you guys are just playing with me. You guys aren't nice. Like, you just, that's what I can take. I know I can take more, but obviously, no, you cannot. You know what I mean? No, you cannot. This is how much you can handle with where you are, little miss. Like, you can handle a picture of what you believe an angel looks like. You know? So
Yo, they be having jokes, but it be for real.
You know?
Yeah.
For real. They'll play with you like that. That's what I'm saying. The angels are very funny bees. They're very funny. They're like, oh, okay, you know, let me show you a picture. And it's funny how it literally went against my line from this side to this side. And it was like, I was like, really? Like, really? You know, because I do be seeing stuff. Like, I do have that ability. I do not practice it enough. I slip into it a lot in meditation. It slip in and out of it. Even in between dream realm and active realm, I slip into it where I will start to see images and people and beings. People walk through my house all the time, spirits. You know what I mean? They don't bother me because they know that they can't bother me and they're not allowed to bother me. But they be walking through. I see them, you know what I mean? If I were to sit here and like literally like use the wall and stare at the wall and like start to meditate, and then I close my eyes, I would start to see figures of people. And sometimes I slip into other timelines or realms, if you want to call them. And
oh my God, that's a whole other topic.
And I'm seeing walls, and I'm all of a sudden in a place where I wasn't. Like I'm in my bed, but I'm actually like maybe outside of a store in my mindset, in my spirit is roaming. So like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, like I have these abilities. I haven't really set on it because I don't see the purpose. I didn't come here. I don't feel like I came here in that sense to do all these things. I think, yes, I have these gifts and they will come to me when I need them. Like I said, when I'm not paying attention, they're there and available and they show up regardless. So what my angels have told me, like when the time comes, you will know. You've been preparing in the dream realm. We've been teaching you, just like how Archangel Michael gave me a sword. He gave me, you know what I mean? That's always with me. They're always with me in this realm, in the next realm, in the dream realm, in whatever realm, right? So
I feel like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but to answer the question, I feel like, yeah, we're both in resonance where it's like in simplicity, just connect with them from your heart space. If you don't have a specific prayer, create your own prayer to them. They will listen to that.
Like they don't realize how you're your own spellcaster. Like you don't need a prayer from the Google. Like, you know, for anything. That goes for anything. I've never resonated with that. Even when I looked up certain spells to do my candles and stuff, I would always recreate it as my own. Like I've never copy and pasted a ritual that I found online. I think it's weird. I just took what resonated from different ones and created my own and let my inner guidance tell me what to do. And I think that's the best.
Even when I try to obey through somebody else's stuff, people always tell me all the time, you always making it your own. And I'm like, I don't know how to be anything else but me.
You know, if your inner guidance says, no, put a little bit more cinnamon sugar on that money candle, I'm going to do it.
I remember you reminded me of when we went live talking about the prosperity spells and stuff, and you was like, you should be rich right now. Because it's the JD Emperor, how it's burning.
Yeah. Yo, I've done something, and the thing is, it's like, I've done some spells that have went amazing, and honestly, what ends up happening is my own mindset that ends up fucking up the spell. A lot of people don't realize that too. You can't just burn a candle and then expect. Yes, you can. You should. But if you're going to do that, then you have to actually like stop like
embody
spell. Stop going back to it. Like even when you ask for something like, oh, I want love, I want a loving partner. If you have to trust that it's done. It's you're telling yourself that you're lacking something, where you should just be like, I'm inviting love into my life. My partner's right around the corner. My partner's coming. You know, stay in the present of knowing that it's going to be given to you, not really questioning it. That took me a while.
I'd be like, I am an embodiment of love. The love of my life loves me in return, and together we are harmonized and energetically magnetic to each other. We are in alignment. I be all extra and stuff, and then I go about my day like it's already been done. Like,
absolutely.
And when I have like moments of doubt or this, I have to breathe and then get back into my now moment and center and like, no, I am abundant. I am blessed. They are here. Like whether there is the trick of the mind is that there's separation, but in truth and spirit, there is no separation. So I am the love of my life, and me being the love of my life, the physical aspect that is gonna show up, or it has showed up, is there, you know what I'm saying? And you'll be able to identify. So like you said, like getting in your own way in the mind, yeah, that's definitely something like, you know, I feel like it's a we all go through waves at different times depending on what's going on in our lives, because there's moments of feeling super confident, knowing all your spells are working, and then there's moments when you kind of start getting some like doubt or something because they might take a little bit
I think
longer
we
or
doubt
something.
something because we want to hurry the process. We want to hurry the process.
And
It's like
that's what
asking
where I
for
was
love, and then you
getting.
don't bump into the love of your life next week. You're like, I knew it didn't work. And it's like, girl, boy,
Like, calm down.
you didn't even give it time.
You still gotta clean your coochie from this morning. You done peed like 7 times and you ain't even take a shower yet. And you want me to bring this one nasty? No, I'm just playing. I'd be like, I'd be a little nasty then. Oh well. No.
No, but like honestly, it's funny. But on another aspect of going back to your question, so yes, I don't.
The second question or the first question?
If you could find the book, that would be great, because I thought that was a great resource. Actually, it was very.
I think I have it on my iPad. I'll check later, and then if I do, what I'll do is anybody that's watching this, if you want the book, you can either DM me or DM her, and then we'll let you know if we have it or not. I'll put it in the description. If I found it, I'll put I found the book. So if you don't see that in the description, do not bother us about the book because we don't have it. Okay. If it's in the description, she or I will have it to be able to share it with you guys.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
going
was
back
a
to the
great book
question.
for connecting and reconnecting. I like that book a lot. And but yeah, I don't think that you need any special prayer. I think you can create your own prayers. They're very simple. If you were to sit down and be like, Archangel Michael, I need you, that's enough for him to come. Like he doesn't need any great invocation, right? None of them do. And then I think the second part of your question was what again? What was the second question?
And working with the angels, how do you think, with everything that's going on over there, not just in Canada, I mentioned Canada, but just anywhere in the world with everything that is going on, how can we take this knowledge or knowingness of connecting with the angels and apply it to helping? Do you think that that's something that people should do, is like connect with the angels to kind of help bring like world peace, or help bring revelations to missing children, or to help bring protection to your environment and stuff like that? Or do you feel like that's just something to like be left alone with? Like, what does your intuition kind of say about working with angels in regards to everything that is physically happening now?
I think if it resonates with you, absolutely, right? If you feel like that's going to help you create the reality that you need to, that's how you want to shift your energy, and you want to bring in the archangels, which I've done many times. Is every once in a while I light a candle for the world, and I put my energy into light going into the world. And then again, I'm getting what I asked for. The light is just showing you all the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order for world peace to happen, we have to be able to see what is keeping us from peace, so we can dismantle it, right? And this is a process that's gonna take years, and I've accepted that, right? Like we've already, like some of us maybe, and if you haven't looked into it, Agenda 2030, they weren't planning to stop here. It's only 3 years into what they're trying to do, right? So we're in for the long haul. But I feel like, remember who you are. Remember that your frequency is above all else. You create your reality for you. Fuck the world. Okay, what are you creating for yourself, and what frequency is that on? Because if you're on a lower level frequency, then you're going to get dragged into some shit that you don't like in regards to this ascension process that's happening. If you are more ready to do the work and ready to go forward and move forward to ascending and things like that, there is no harm. In fact, I recommend it. Call on whatever spirit guide you need to help you give that strength, whoever resonates. I don't care if it's Shango, I don't care if it's Archangel Michael, I don't even care if it's Lucifer. Okay, do what you got to do in order to get yourself to the other side of ascension. That I can't tell you specifically if you're watching this, because we're not dealing one-on-one what to do or what it's being divine to do. But what I will say is that deep down inside, you yourself are a piece of source being. You are a god or goddess in your own right. You create the world that you live in, And when you contribute from a higher frequency, you cancel out the lower frequencies. One high frequency being canceled out, like I think what 200,000 they said, or whatever it is. It just doesn't matter. So continue to shine your light. Continue to believe in the process. Don't believe the narrative they're feeding you. Like I said, if I were to watch the news, I would feel doomed. But because what I watch is, yes, the protests. There was kids in bouncy houses and stuff like that. It was good to see all these people, all these different cultures come together and say, no, we're not having it. And people act like, okay, because maybe they won this battle. I'm like, the war is not done. They're not even done with it, because it is supposed to happen to all over the world. People think that they're safe. And that's why other people are rising up in different countries doing the same trucking convoy. America just launched one. They're launching one in several states. They're launching their own trucking convoy. France did it. Italy's doing it. Australia's been doing it. They've been doing big, huge protests for all of this. So it's like, and you don't think that they knew that there was going to be some resistance, that we weren't, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, they're not ready to give up. You don't be ready to give up. Remember what was promised to you. Remember the prophecy of the age of Aquarius, right? Listen to the song, Age of Aquarius from Fifth Dimension, and remind yourself of the promise that this era brings. But again, in order for one world to rise, the other has to fall. And we have to be okay with that. Let go. Yep. Let it go, yes. And work on yourself. This is the time that you should be working on yourself, so that on the other side of it, you're already prepared and ready to go. I personally am not accepting any negative connotation. I know people have talked about zombies and all these things. I'm like, that's your timeline. I'm not going through no damn zombie apocalypse to get to my righteous side. You guys are crazy. But, like, I'm not. And if I do, I'm blaming all of y'all. Because I'm like, oh, see?
Yeah, collective thinking.
Like, I'm gonna blame y'all. Like, this didn't happen because of me. I was on track. I was focused, you know. So, but no, I'm joking, guys. But like, you know,
I know you are. I know you are. You're so silly. I love you.
But you know, what I'm saying? So, remember who you are. You are in control. You run your reality. You create the heaven on earth. A good book that I also recommend is The Four Agreements. Okay, he's very big.
You always go to that book.
That's my Bible. If you looked at my version copy of that book, you would see highlighters of different colors. You'd see pens, marking. You'd see everything.
I don't have a physical copy of it, so I read it and it was good. But I think if I had a physical copy, I probably would have had a bunch of highlights on it too. So anything else? Any other books or anything else? Do you have any projects coming out soon, or just anything else you want to share with anybody if they want to reach out to you? If you have any services that you're doing, or you're closed for services for now?
I'm sorry.
Say that again.
Didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
At this time, I'm not doing any services. I know I used to do readings and things like that. Like, I literally, like I said, put a pause on Black Fairy Guidance. I don't know what I'm going to do with that channel. It doesn't resonate with me to do personal readings or anything like that. Right now, I'm just focusing on, like, I guess, releasing in a stance of also sharing my story. So you guys can subscribe to my channel, Black Fairy Tales. It's in the link in my bio. Through the link tree, choose Black Fairy Tales. It will take you to that channel. Again, that's where I kind of talk. I say it in my intro sometimes, like, this is where I talk about whatever I want. You know what I mean? Whether it's spiritual, whether it's personal. Sometimes I just want to talk to y'all about clothes. Like, so if you're interested in those things, as well as maybe just a different perspective as far as spiritual journeys go, I'm definitely sharing in all those aspects. So feel free to subscribe, click the notification bell, check out the videos, leave a comment so I know that you came by and you came through. But yeah, I think that's about it. And follow me on Instagram. I do funny reels. I'm having fun. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna more incorporate that as like Instagram as well. So watch out for that. But yeah, I'm just being me. And if you just need some joy and some encouragement in your life, you can follow me, because I'm totally about that right now.
And even in just being you are dropping so much gems, which is why I was like, it's so important to just be in the now and leave the expectations. And like, a spiritual person doesn't have to have a spiritual look like people make it seem. Like,
that's like one of
what do you mean?
When people say spiritual look, I always get turned off. Like, I know people
Me
have
too.
judgments for people. Like, even me, I remember one time I was on this Zoom and my boobies were out. Okay, listen, I didn't have boobs till after I had my daughter. So sometimes they're on display. Okay, I had waited my whole life. I prayed my whole life to have some boobs. So when I had my daughter and I was left with the gift of boobs, sometimes they're on show. But I remember, like, I was called out, but not called out. Like, they didn't call my name, but they were talking about showing your breasts and how it will make men lose their minds. You know what I mean? It was some old school lady too. It was some old school lady, so I understood, like, her perspective was just very old school. Like, how I dress has somehow, like, bring the rapist out of a man. Like, he's not already a rapist if he's already thinking that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean? Doesn't matter how you dress, right? But she was trying to, like, take shots at me as a human. It was a spiritual call, so it was funny. I was like, ooh, that was the last call I ever went to. But as you can see, I didn't like the judgment, and I didn't like that you were making a statement about me that was obviously about me, because I'm the only one who had her boobies out that day. Like, they were out, like, you couldn't see my nipples, but it was just a very deep cut dress. It's a beautiful pink dress that I have. It's long. The only thing sexual is that it's very deep cut, right? So you shows the boobs a bit. But you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm saying, like,
She clearly did not drink milk out of her mama's nipples, because
get over it. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, you know, what was that about?
and like you said, they're gonna think about it. If they people are who they are and how they are, and they're gonna be how they're gonna judge or think or do whatever. If they, like you said, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. If that's the type of person that they are, that's the type of person that they are. You know?
Absolutely.
So
I would have respected her more if even she came to me at the side and be like, you know, the way that you dress, and we could have a conversation about it. I mean, I wouldn't have changed. You know what I mean?
right.
I like it. I don't care.
Part.
You know what I mean? Like, but people judge people like, oh,
And there's spirits like that too.
Spiritual and her boobs are how she's spiritual and she wears those tight clothes. Like, let people be who they are and let them go through their journey. Everybody goes through certain different type of art. It's not like I go around all the time. My boobs aren't out today. You know what I mean? But hey, that might not be the case tomorrow. Maybe my divine feminine wants to be sexy on some days. Like, you gotta let people be who they are and understand that their story is meant to help you, not to place you in a position that you can judge them and that you have the right to look down on them. Because we're all human, we're all flawed. And we have people out here who are genuinely sharing their stories, sharing their gifts, sharing their love, trying to help uplift you. And there you go, finding reasons to judge them. When really you should be looking at why you're judging them. Like, do that shadow work. Like, why do other people and what they do and how they dress and how they live their life bother you so much so that you can't even hear the message of the story they're trying to give. You're just so concentrating on what they're doing perceivably wrong as a person who is spiritual.
Mm-hmm. And in that's where the jewel is dropped anyways, because whether she's conscious of it or not, it triggered her. And now she got to think about what that trigger, whether she's consciously thinking about how it triggered her, why it triggered her. She's still thinking about the trigger. And that's where you were the jewel that was dropped in that moment, so she could have some revelations with herself. And that's why just being and allowing other people to just be, even if the page doesn't seem like a spiritual page, it is. Their spirit is in and of everything, that you're going to have some sort of aha moment at some point with something, or a revelation of this is what I resonate with. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's all feeling comfortable, right? You might have an aha moment like, yo, I'm really just been resonating with this and there's really no growth here for me and I'm ready to grow. And so you move on in that way, but you don't have to judge the person now because you're growing. I've been that person. Oh my God, forget about it. I've been that person where, you know, from not eating meat to eating meat to this and that, because I felt so many different things and I had to be
and
like,
you're being told so many different things. You know what I mean? We're being told so many different things. This is how you ascend. This is how you do better. This is what just do. Honestly, instead of trying so hard to ascend, just be. And do the best you can every day and be who you are and make sure that you're running from a freaking.
And the true ascension is when you fucking die.
Found in a hot dog on Tuesday, God bless you. You know, like, I'm not gonna judge you.
The whole ascension, we have ascension symptoms, and we'll have ascensions while we are living here and stuff like that. But the true like ascension is, and I said when we die, but like when we depart from the body, right? That's where it's that whole, that's ascension also in itself. So just be, just allow, just experience. Thank you so much, Dana, for
Yes,
all your
love you,
beautiful,
sis.
beautiful wisdom. I love you. You have given us more to 3, 4, 5. I just saw
Hey,
on my
love it.
thing. So moving on forward, you've given us a lot of your time. I'm thankful. If somebody wanted to send you a donation, where can they send you a donation to?
It would be PayPal. I think there's a donation button in my link.
Okay, so just follow her, click the links in the bios,
That's
and everything
right.
will be there.
Click the links in the bio and it should be there. I'm not big on asking for donations, but obviously any blessing you choose to give to me, if it touches your heart too, I'm grateful for it.
Yes, Ashe. I love you, and I will be sending this to you later.
All right.